Hello, everyone. I'm back again with Impact the Child. My name is Patricia Mezu. It's lovely to be here and to share my knowledge. And today I'm going into another area of my expertise, which is Montessori. I actually am a qualified and experienced Montessori guide. I qualified in the UK many years ago, and it actually remains one of my most favorite curricula. I feel it's all embracing and that it also has so much relevance to us in sub-Saharan Africa in terms of cultural context. But obviously, it's not the only curriculum that does this or the only ethos that presents this. But I feel that it's really easy to adapt to the Montessori curriculum, assuming that you have knowledge and that you're trained in it. That's might be a drawback for many of us in sub-Saharan Africa. However, we can learn from the curriculum. So I'm just going to give an overview. I'll start with the top left, which is the pink box. And I've put in a quote there from Maria Montessori herself. She was the first female medical doctor in Italy. So she comes into education from a very scientific background. So lots of research, lots of observations and everything, which I find has stood the test of time for well over 100 years now. Her quote says, "Our work as adults does not consist in teaching, but in helping the infant mind in its work of development." When I first read this, I thought, oh my goodness, I thought I was meant to be training to be a teacher. But subsequently, I understood what it meant, which means that we come in as facilitators of learning. That's the way I like to put it. And that means that we keep the child at the center of everything that's happening. And we facilitate learning based on research, based on our experience, based on what we have been taught as educators. And so I must say that I find this to be very empowering. Let's pop to the middle, where we have the curriculum areas. There are 5 main curriculum areas. And I always say, I'm sure people are tired of me saying this, adapt to your own culture. So, for example, there may be something that within a curriculum area that is more important or more relevant, rather, to what's happening in your country, in your community. But anyway, let's come back to Montessori. The 5 curriculum areas or subject areas, whatever you call them, are practical life, which I feel is really important in this day and age of the digital era, where children learn how to so many things about gaining practical skills. For example, pouring, learning how to zip, learning how to button. There's a lot that goes into practical life. I will not be able to go into that now because this is really a very brief overview. Sensorial development is working with the 5 senses of children and developing them accordingly. Language and literacy, mathematics, and the last one is culture. People will probably say, what on earth is culture? In so many ways, we make it what it should be for who we are as leaders in our own educational environments. But within the Montessori context, it also involves things like history, which would be your history, geography, which could be your geography. And obviously, these are all developmentally appropriate. Botany. There's so many other things that go into culture. So if you want to learn more, please contact me. My email is at the bottom. I'm going to go to the bottom left, which is the yellow box, and give a little bit of background data. It's a philosophy that started in 1907. There's use of what we call a prepared environment. It's very important for the learning environment of the children to be prepared on a daily basis. And even within the day, there's, stuff that's happening where we're looking, observing, and reviewing that environment. We keep the child at the center of all learning. And so that means, unlike some other curricula, that it's not the teacher who is at the center. In fact, in the Montessori environment, you wouldn't see a teacher's table. In terms of the environment, there's only one item of each resource. I remember when I was working at I was at the head of a school in the Gulf, and at some point I looked at this, I had to review this, and I thought, oh my goodness, we need to keep the children engaged. Should we put more of one item in the environment? What if some children want to use the exact same resource? And at the time, we had more than one resource for each environment. So I know the pure Montessorians will not be happy with what I'm about to say, but sometimes we would have more than one item of each resource. But that was only after the children were well versed and well established in their own environment. That means that they were independent, they were able to take control in a good way of their learning environment, and they were mature enough in that environment to handle that. But we wouldn't put two of every item. Maybe just, for example, if children wanted to work with the large movable alphabet or something like that, then we may have two. We had maybe two in one environment, but it wasn't all the time. There are very high levels of differentiation in the Montessori environment, which means that we are seeing children as individuals, preparing for them, teaching them as individuals. All right. Let's go up to the top right, to the blue box, which is my supporting ideas number 1. All material in the classroom, in the environment, each thing has a learning aim. So nothing is put into the environment unless we know that there is a learning outcome in mind. We work with a system of internal rewards and find that to be effective, which means that you typically wouldn't find us giving children stickers and saying, oh, well done, take a sticker. We build their inner sense of pride so that they are being rewarded by their accomplishments and knowing that they have achieved something successfully rather than constantly giving external rewards. We offer them keys to the world. This is within sensorial, but I believe it's even wider than the sensorial development area, so that we give them an insight. It's almost like just have a little glimpse through a peephole. And when they understand the learning, then they are exposed to wider and more challenging and robust learning. We develop children from concrete, so hands-on. Example, in mathematics, there's a lot of exploration with quantities and counting and shapes and all of this before we would go anywhere near introducing the symbols for mathematics. We embrace and teach high levels of order and independence. It's really a beautiful thing to see when it operates well. Let's go down to the bottom right, which is supporting ideas number 2, which is the purple box. Hands-on practice is pivotal. Parental engagement and education is a must. We embrace and allow leadership amongst the children within the classroom community. Vertical age grouping exists, which means that we teach children within various age groups. For example, 0 to 3 or 3 to 6 years will be in one class. So 0 to 3 in one class, that's birth to 3 in one class, ages 3 to 6 in one class. Again, it works beautifully when it's done well. The system allows for and develops logical patterns of thought, and it is naturally inclusive. So very much embracing children with special needs and providing for them. So in conclusion, I will say the child is both a hope and a future for mankind. And as usual, I'll ask you to reach out to me if you want to, and if you're interested in any form of training or coaching when it comes to early childhood education and development. I will let you know that I do not only focus on Montessori. I work within various areas, including the British curriculum, Canadian curriculum, and other curricula. All right. Have a good day.